Government is expected to have a make-or-break meeting with striking worker unions to avert a full-blown industrial action that, according to experts, threatens the security of the state. The Fair Wages Commission is leading the negotiations with teacher unions, the Ghana Medical Association and others over the demand for the cost of living allowance. The medical doctors are also demanding 20% of the basic salary as a cost of living allowance due to what they describe as harsh economic conditions. Four teacher unions have already laid down their tools over the government's failure to pay their allowance. President Akufo-Addo at the Eid celebration over the weekend made a passionate appeal to striking workers to resume work whilst government works to address their concerns. But the labor groups say it's either COLA or another means to cushion workers against the harsh economic reality and nothing else. I've been joined by the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Titus Bayo, who himself will be part of this meeting. I'm grateful for your time, Doc. What are your expectations as you go into this crunch meeting with government?
And good afternoon to your viewers. I think it's the expectation of all of us to find a solution, and we are optimistic that one will be found. So that's what we are going in for.
For you, we've heard from other labor groups who say it's either the 20% or something meaningful to cushion them. For you, what will be a satisfactory approach to your demands?
I mean, if we are giving the 20%, that's what we will all prefer. We will all be happy. But like I said, as considerate union leaders, we'll be willing and open to options available. Others are talking about tax relief. That comes to the same thing, bring some money to the pocket of the worker. I think the bottom line is that we expect government to look at the realities on the ground and find a way of cushioning its workforce so that we can all increase our productivity to help the nation out of this trouble.
Its hands are tied, and there are those who say that if care is not taken, the country will be grinded to a halt. What do you think? If you go into this meeting, what case are you going to make to actually press on government to give you what you're looking for?
Well, I think the case of labor was made much earlier, and our case has just been simple. The cost of living is very high. The worker is worse off today. Our salary is not able to take us a home. And if we want people to be productive, they need to be able to pay for transportation to get to work, be able to afford a meal, to be productive. And I think it inures more to the benefit of government and the benefit of the nation if you have a very well-motivated workforce that can produce to help you out of an economic crisis. So we are hopeful that government will look at all the situations, find out, is there places where they can reduce some expenditure, find some money somewhere, and then stimulate the workforce to produce more. That is a very viable solution to the current situation. We are not hopeful that it will be the same story of there's no money, we can't do anything about it. Because the truth is that people are suffering, and I think government recognizes, and I'm hopeful that they will come up with some suggestions that will bring solution to all of this.
Are you willing to meet government halfway? For instance, reduce the 20% to maybe an amount that government can handle?
Oh, it's a negotiation we are going in. So we are not going to trench positions at all. In fact, if you look at the labor unions that have even gone on strike, some of them is because they were not, they didn't have the opportunity to engage much earlier. And so we are going with open minds. It's not like we are fixated on the 20%, either that or nothing. We are going for a discussion, looking at the current conditions. The employer, knowing that you have engaged people to work for you, you know what the inflation rate is in the country, you know the cost of transportation, you know everything. You will propose something that will bring some cushioning to the workforce.
I'm grateful, Dr. Titus Bay, and I wish you all the best in this meeting. He is the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Meanwhile, Labour consultant Austin Garme wants government to speed up negotiations, warning the unrest could have implications for the security of the country.
We've gotten to a junction that we have to be very careful as a people and as a nation. The past, anything good in the past, let's bring it up here now. Anything that is of no help, let's leave it there. In the past, when we had a similar situation, but not this gargantuan level of inflation and related matters, the employer, government then, quickly organized a national and comprehensive national dialogue at home, and almost all the unions were present, and other players were all present. I was there myself. We had a very open-ended type of conversation based on our labor law, because the law enjoins the employer to have an open dialogue with his own workers when you have matters of this nature. To the extent that it also opens that if you have a situation like this, go carry the economic situation and the welfare of the people under section, I believe, 113 subsection C. The importance of it should be openly discussed, and you arrive at a decision that will satisfy both of you. This is a lot more heavier a burden than that of 2015. Yet that was what they did. So it's getting a little too late, but I'm happy they're opening up for a dialogue maybe on Tuesday, just tomorrow. I wonder the format, but now that the Labour Commission has been maybe put in place.
The Iceman Municipal Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Madam Atubila Rose, says almost all teachers in the Northeast region depend on subsidized loans and are unable to sufficiently cater for their families. The NAT Secretary disclosed to JoyNews to justify the ongoing strike action by various teacher unions in demand for the payment of the cost of living allowance. Madam Rose wondered why teachers in the country are being marginalized in the face of the current economic crisis, and asserted they will not return to the classroom unless their demands are addressed by government. Ilyasu Tanko has more.
Following the declaration of the strike action by the teacher unions, the National Association of Teachers, NAT, in the Northeast region dispatched staff to schools to monitor and ensure compliance among its members. After the first week of the strike action, the East Mamprese Municipal NAT Secretary, who is also in charge of the Bumpurgu, Napanduri and Yunyo district, Atubila Rose, in her assessment of the report from the monitoring staff, said members of the association were fully in compliance of the directive.
That comprises of the three political districts, East Mamprese Municipal, Bumpurgu, Napanduri district, and Yunyo National district. Looking at all these areas, our members are complying with the directive from above. As this district that I've mentioned, we have been divided into 10 locals, and in each of the locals we have executives. So the local executives have been deployed to the various schools in their locals to check and to give report.
The teachers laid down their tools in protest of the failure of government to pay them the cost of living allowance. Justifying the strike action, the NAT secretary said the demand was due to the obvious rising cost of living and the fact that teachers in the region were already operating in the midst of several challenges.
In fact, when you look at the teacher condition here, it's very bad. When you look at the schools, they are scattered. The landmass is so large or big that when you are attending a school, you travel more than 40 miles. And the only source of transportation is the motorbike. And when you look at fuel these days, a teacher can spend more than almost, let's say 90% of the salary to buy fuel. What is left for the feeding of the family and himself is nothing to write home about. So to be frank, teachers here, we pity ourselves. Let me use the word, we pity ourselves so much. It's not easy. As a NAT secretary, when we look at those who come to take loan, almost all the teachers are on loans. And what will they use to feed themselves and their children or their family? And now we are in farming season. If you want to rely on the salaries alone, it will not help. And there's no also money to buy fertilizer and other resources to support.
Let's stay a while longer in our schools, because this afternoon heads of senior high schools in the Greater Accra region are meeting to deliberate on issues confronting the smooth administration of the schools. A critical issue of concern on the agenda is the impact of the teacher union strikes and the shortage of food supplies to the schools. Samuel Mbora has been visiting some schools in Accra. He joins us live with details. Samuel, has a meeting begun? What are you picking from that meeting?
Aisha, what I can report is that the meeting between the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, consisting 46 of them in the Greater Accra region, has ended. They are not willing to talk to us as to what transpired, what they have resolved. But what I'm picking is that they are worried about the food shortage in the boarding schools and expecting that the Ghana Education Service would deliver as expected, that we were told that today they will be making some delivery to the schools that have been affected by the shortage of the food. Now, another issue they have looked at, my information has to do with the impact of the strike. They are calling on GES and government to see how they can meet the demands of these striking teacher unions in order to bring them back to the classroom, because it's affecting teaching and learning. I was earlier at Laboni Senior High School. What we observed there was that the students, second-year students, were writing their end-of-semester exams they could not write last semester. But they are under the supervision of national service personnel. Permanent teachers are not there to guide them or see them through in the examination process, and the students are doing it by themselves. There's no teaching, but learning is ongoing. The students are doing that on their own. So, Aisha, that is what I can tell for now. But because the non-teaching staff are also on strike, we are unable to confirm whether food has actually hit the stores of the schools or not. I tried getting information, but that is not available, because the storekeepers, who are also part of the strike, are not available to give us that particular information.
Did they tell you exactly what they expect as the government meets the striking teachers?
Well, they are expectant, as I said. They are expectant that at least government would release it, as we were told yesterday that by Tuesday they will be doing the deliveries. But they are only hopeful that that can be done so that they'll be able to address the food challenge in the school. But for now, I can say that we are unsure. We can't confirm whether the schools have actually received the food or not.
Samuel Mbora is our man monitoring this meeting for us, and also monitoring whether food supply has reached affected schools who have been hit by food shortage. We'll definitely bring you more. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education has assured all senior high schools across the country that has been hit by food shortage will receive food supply by close of today. The Upper West Regional Chapter of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools earlier warned that students and parents may soon be compelled to take up the cost of feeding if government fails to provide supplies. According to them, food suppliers contacted by the buffer stock company as well as local suppliers contacted to help out are all refusing to do so, citing non-payment of outstanding monies owed them by the government. Speaking on News Desk earlier today, Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwatin, pledged the Education's Ministry commitment to ensuring that food is supplied to the affected schools. Listen.
Okay, so I indicated earlier, food is ready to be dispatched today. The buffer stock is ready with some stocks of food to be dispatched to the various schools. And if I say the various schools, I'm referring to the affected schools, with much reference to the Upper West School, where the leadership of CHAS indicated a potential food shortage by the 15th of this month, which happens to be Friday, if nothing is done about the situation. Thankfully, the Minister for Education, Dr. Aisha, has intervened and arrangements have been made. So hopefully by close of day, we should get some distributions made to schools that are facing similar challenges. So for now, that is the update that we have. So apparently, it's not an event. Processes are started, arrangements are far advanced. Hopefully, within the day, they should get their supplies. By close of day, they should get all their supplies. I do not have the full list of it, but I'll get it for you as soon as possible. Hopefully, when I get to the office, I should get it for you and update you accordingly. Yeah, basically, they listed some items in their presser, and I'll create your indulgence to refer to that. I think they were rice, sugar, flour. Those are the items that come in mind. But I think we can just refer to the presser. So every item that was listed as required has been supplied and will be delivered by close of day. The affected schools receive full supply so that they're able to restock the full capacity.
And still on education, some heads of senior high schools in the central region say the quantities of foodstuff they are made to sign for is not what they are supplied with. According to them, they could sign for 15 bags of rice, but they will be supplied with 10 bags of commodity. The quality and quantity of food served at the dining halls has become a huge issue, with many parents opting to pay to shore up the feeding grounds of the schools their children are attending. Richard Kwejo is our Central Region correspondent. He's been interacting with some of the heads of schools. He joins us live with more. Kwejo, I mean, how is this situation affecting the running of the school?
Well, so Aisha, the heads have been telling me a lot of things that they could complain about, but they have been bad not to speak about. So I've been engaging them. The first issue has to do with their supplies. In fact, they state that they are made to sign for an X amount and they are supplied with Y amount. For instance, they sign for 15 bags of, say, sugar, and they are supplied with 10 bags. And this is, they say, has been going on for quite a while. And it appears if you do not accept to undergo, or if you do not accept that arrangement, your student may go hungry. The second issue has to do with the underweight supply. The schools are supplied with bags of maize, rice, sugar, beans, and the rest. Now, for instance, if the heads are supposed to get 25 kilograms of either rice, sugar, beans, they are rather supplied with 15 kilograms of rice. They say this is seriously affecting the quality and the quantity of the food served at the dining hall. Again, some of the parents during their parent association have been having varied discussions about the low quality of food and then the low quality of the quantity of the food their children are served with. The parents say the children have been complaining bitterly to them. And so, for instance, some parents of first-year students at Wesley Girls told me they had to pay 5,000 Ghana cedis to support the feeding grant. And when they did, the children reported back excitedly to them that the quality and the quantity of the food served them have improved tremendously. And these arrangements are mainly at the grade A schools, but for the category B and C schools, my investigation did not prove that. And so many students have had to eat a lot of, and so there is an increase in the numbers of parents who have to buy provisions for their awards than usual. And it goes on and said will have some dire consequences on the academic performances of the students. So that is what has been happening here in the central region. But one key thing that the heads have also been telling me is that the cases of petty thievery is going on. They're breaking into the top box of their students just for food is on the rise. They don't just go for money, but for food. And so that is what has become a major concern, and they hope that authorities will listen to them and address them.
Have they made a formal complaint to the right appropriate authorities, GES, Ministry of Education? What has been the response?
They say that their complaints are not being heeded because if you complain too much, you may be victimized. And so they also accept it like that. And then because if you don't take care, you might become a scapegoat. And so they have to accept those arrangements like that. But they've been complaining, just that they've been complaining among themselves, but they cannot tell people. And so they have been speaking to me on conditions of anonymity.
So they've not made formal complaints about how much they are supposed to get and how much they are getting?
Yes, they have been making the complaint, but they say that is what
to who?
The kind of
to who?
Oh, among themselves, the head, because when you are a head, and in the current dispensation, they tell me that if you go about saying that this is my right, I'm supposed to get this, I'm supposed to get that, you may not even end up getting the quantity or the food even supplied to you.
Kojonya Akun is our correspondent in the Central Region. This is something we'll follow up with authorities and come to the end of this. Now, many residents have been displaced following the Ghana Grid Company's demolition of illegal structures sited under its high-tension lines. This, it says, is part of its efforts to reduce the growing human activities around its poles. Hundreds of the squatters are rushing to salvage their belongings. My colleague Manuel Kranting is on that beat for us and reports from Bawelishi.
Gama, good morning. Mo follow. What's happening here?
You must have football.
Then is you on.
So what babuye? Na me da me nwa document me da ko no nya ka ho.
Unwa doc no ever. O we tire ho. O ton man go for no motia. So me bubu kiosk no so. O man kan che mo ansa na mo ba.
Da bi o, yen ti.
O ti haya na o mo be bubu.
Amashina ne mu ba eyi nyama nya wi nya buye.
I catch him say high tension I say no say cable ni be tough man. E be betumi eja ana bibi mu na we obi be pra no be wumpo. And it's na muguso wa.
O mu kan nsu yenye baby anko. Entia. Yenye baby anko entia. Yo baby kwa nka nko dalala.
And so just as we're talking, the bulldozer is just approaching, and in my understanding, just to tear down a lot more of the structures that are still standing right here.
But me about 6 months in here.
6 months.
But
okay, who are then better now?
But now me a friend say me UPS. Me rent na so ya na say abraboni mo aye some way bi na me say sadia. Me be choke here for 1 year bia na 2 years bi na me move on to my building. Na me buy no 6 months pepe then me 6 months. I was even sleeping with my 2 kids. They are back there. So they just came on, they said we should move our things out. Otherwise they will scatter all things. So I decided to move all things out. But they did not agree with me to even raise my kiosk out. Even my things, all of these are spoiled.
So you wanted to carry your kiosk from here?
Yes, and they did not allow me to carry it. They spoiled all my things, my bowls, everything is scattered. And now I'm stranded with my 2 kids. And I said I have government who can help me. Now that a single mother, even I'm not a single mother, I have a husband. And we came here to struggle, you understand me? We came here to struggle to get. I went out from my hometown to come here to come and sleep inside a kiosk. This is a wood. I know that it's risky for my life, but because of I don't have, and I came here to go and help my people and in my own country. That is why I'm here. And I'll come and say to use my own hand to vote for the government, and you are not helping me. It's not good.
But did you pay any money to put your kiosk here?
Although I did not pay, but those who are here that I come and meet them, they say they are the landlords. They are here before me, so they'll take money from you. So I paid, but it's not for the government that I pay for. But they should know that if you are not paying, we are all helping ourselves. We are all human beings. You are a human being, I'm also a human being. And that doesn't mean that if you have a burden sleeping in, and I don't have a burden, I'm not a human being. I'm part of the woman's. If you call a woman, I'm also part of human being. So you can't sack all of here and say that we should go.
Where are your children?
They are at the back there.
Okay, so we'll attempt to, maybe somebody could get them for us to, so we speak to them and find out where they will be. Where they'll be sleeping. And so she's just telling us that she lives here with her kids. And so essentially you live here with them?
Yes, I live here with them.
So where are you going to take them?
With that report now on our Living Standard series today, youth unemployment in Ghana has more than doubled from an average of 9.0% between 2017 and 2020 to 19.7% in 2021. Isaac Kwame Adai happens to be in this bracket. For 4 years, he has tried without success to get a job. However, out of frustration, he decided to pull all the stops to get the attention of the job market. Mamiethi Nyamiche Thompson met with him in our latest Living Standard series.
It was a do or die affair. So I had no option. I have to do it. I'm hoping to get a job because either than that, I'll find myself in a hot pan. All the time, I was thinking, even at night, sometimes I cry.
Plenty questions, no answer. How come we sell a contract?
On the streets of Accra Tuesday afternoon was an unusual sight. A dark young man gripped the attention of motorists and passers-by with the information on a placard he held. The inscription printed in bold red and blue colors read, "Please, I need a job. Isaac Kwame Adai. Qualification, BSc Marine Science. Institution, University of Ghana." With his contact and photo. The frustrated unemployed graduate had to pull all the stops to get the attention of the job market after 4 years of a fruitless job hunt. The current economic hardship has worsened his plight.
And with the placard, it's more or less like applying 100 jobs. But I wanted to save money because I was spending a lot. The moment you do bundle, especially the hotspots, the moment you connect the hotspot, within some few hours, it's finished.
Isaac Kwame Adai from Asankran Breman in the Western region sees himself as one of the few lucky to have made it out of his poor village to the University of Ghana in 2013. He managed to complete 4 years of university despite the odds of harsh city life and limited funds. Now, how to survive after his tertiary education was at the top of his agenda as he couldn't return to the poverty-stricken village he left behind.
It's hard. Your money will get finished. You buy gari and then with sugar alone, even with that, you don't have to eat early in the morning. Sometimes you wait in the afternoon, let's say around 1 o'clock, you take it, and then in the evening, you take some water and then life goes on. It's good for me to endure so that I could get something, so that I'll forget about all the endurance and then the pain.
His first job was assisting at the Commonwealth Hall Library, where he had been a resident. It afforded him some allowance and accommodation while he hunted for other jobs.
So 24/7. I worked there, I used the internet. So that was even the time I was applying more jobs. So every day I can apply more than 5 jobs, just a day, more than. So when they call me for interview, I go. Sometimes it's a bit challenging because you need transportation. It's the same money. You see, that little money. It was really tough, but then I did all I could do, but still it wasn't happening.
4 years down the road, Isaac's hope of getting employed turned into heartbreak, frustration and depression. He then returned to his village, Asankran Breman. For months, he hid from friends to avoid queries.
My money was finished. Even with that time, I had to sell my laptop and then leave to the village. So when I went there, I started with the farming, but it didn't go well. So I had to use a different approach, and I was very determined that no matter what I do to get the job. So all the time, I was thinking, what can I do? So even at night, sometimes I cry.
Realizing there were no prospects for him in the village, Isaac borrowed 400 cedis from his mother and a family friend and returned to Accra with a renewed determination to get a job, no matter what he had to do. So he came up with a placard idea.
When I stood there, even though I wasn't so sure that in the end I will get a helper, so it was a do or die affair. So I had no option. I have to do it. Nobody should stop me friends were saying that, oh, it's a big disgrace, and I said, I don't care, because that is all I have, and I won't listen to anything, irrespective of people will see me, people will insult me. In the end, I'm looking at the positive side.
Well, his efforts garnered some attention from employers who have been in talks with him. But he is yet to land a job. He has spent 280 cedis out of the 400 cedis he borrowed. With just 120 cedis remaining, Isaac is worried he might run out of funds soon. Eating once a day has helped him manage his funds better. But for how long?
I make sure that I don't spend much and I don't eat much too. I'm just enduring, but I'm hoping to get a job, because either than that, I'll find myself in a hot pan.
The clock is ticking, and Isaac hopes that this time he gets a job that will make his life easier.
We're still live on JoyNews today. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you the very latest coming up on business.
Hello, welcome to business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The visiting team from the International Monetary Fund is engaging Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia today as part of his data gathering and engagement with the government. This is one of the high-level meetings that the officials are holding together with government's policy and technical team. Joy Business is learning that there have been some discussions centered on possible program design for Ghana. The team will later in the day hold some meetings with the Finance Committee of Parliament. These meetings are expected to ensure that any program for Ghana has the support of all stakeholders in the country. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is now expected to present the mid-year budget review of estimates next Wednesday, July 20. The presentation was originally scheduled for tomorrow, July 13. But why the change in date and what are the expectations? Here's George Affe.
Joy Business is learning that the change in date has been influenced by some extra work that needs to be done before the presentation. Sources say ongoing engagement with the IMF may force the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to make some drastic changes to the estimates. Therefore, he will be in a better position to do this after government concludes engagement with the visiting IMF team, that is tomorrow. Well, what we are picking up for now indicates that there will be some drastic changes to the macroeconomic targets set out in the 2022 budget. The document outlining Parliament business for this week had earlier announced that the presentation will be made tomorrow. But looking at the fact that the decision to change the date was taken over the weekend by the ministry, maybe Parliament will be officially notified about it today. The document released by Parliament also mentioned a supplementary budget in addition to the mid-year review of estimates. But officials of the Finance Ministry insist the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, would not be presenting a supplementary budget next Wednesday. The country's Financial Management Act requires the Finance Minister to present a mid-year review not later than July 31 for each financial year.
In other news, Chief Executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kosi Yankee-Aye, has reiterated that the agency will be reaching out to relevant international organizations to mobilize resources in order to meet the requests of micro-businesses. According to her, the Youth Start initiative and other government interventions will be used in building small businesses. Mrs. Yankee-Aye was speaking after a graduation ceremony for some beneficiaries of the Apprenticeship to Entrepreneurship Training Program in the Eastern region.
I think it's very important to know that for what we are doing, it's really under the vision of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in trying to get the youth to build the entrepreneurial skills and a culture to be able to grow and start their own businesses. So what it allows us to do is to also be able to monitor that, because we need to ensure that these businesses are sustainable. And so we're going out of our way to do that and monitor and evaluate across the entire nation. So if you pay attention to the work we are doing, across the nation we have regional offices, we have business advisors, advisory centers and business resource centers, and through these resource centers and advisory centers, we're able to actually get the youth, the women, men and women in those communities to actually start the businesses. And if there are any challenges, we go in and provide the needed supports that they will. And that's why it's through interventions like this that government is really looking to expand and grow through the Youth Start programs, through the Ghana Jobs and Skills Project, which we'll also be implementing very soon across the nation. As much as possible, if you pay attention, once again, the budget really talks about an entrepreneurial nation and a culture, and it's very important because across the world, what we knew as work has changed.
And that's business for now. More coming up on the marketplace. My name is Daryl Kwao. Sports coming up next.
And that's how we wrap up News Today this afternoon. My name is Aisha. Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news there. Enjoy the rest of our programs.